Let's start with Cheryl from Adamsville. Thank you so much for joining us, Cheryl. Please go right ahead with your question, if you will.
Yes, my question is, I contracted COVID from work, and I know this is not one of your subjects, but I do need to ask and find this out. I'm having difficulties with my lungs and breathing now. I wanted to know, should the company should be compensating me and for long-term illnesses and stuff like that?
Okay, that's a great question and something you absolutely we can answer here this evening. So there are a couple issues that your question raises. Number one, what is the company's liability for an exposure you might have to COVID-19? So in general, it's very difficult to tell where you got COVID-19 from, but if there was a way for you to tie your COVID-19 exposure to the workplace, then you would absolutely be entitled to apply for workers' compensation benefits. But the other thing that you're entitled to, or could be entitled to, depending on the size of your employer, is one, family and medical leave, and that is unpaid leave for up to 12 weeks for you to get over COVID-19, and that includes long COVID, the pneumonia, or if you're in the hospital for a long time. It can also cover you if your family member has COVID and you need to take care of them. And the other thing, if you are not able to be covered by the Family Medical Leave Act, because those are usually larger employers, you may, because if you have long COVID or serious complications from COVID that could amount to a disability, you could also be covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act, which could save your job for when you do get better, that you'd be able to come back to the same job that you had.
And Kyra, what about if the company has short-term or long-term disability? Would someone like the caller qualify for those types of benefits?
That's right. So those are insurance policies that either you or your company might pay for you. Those ride along with your ADA benefits or your Family and Medical Leave Act benefits, or perhaps workers' compensation benefits. Those are in addition. So Family and Medical Leave or the ADA may not cover paid leave. So those policies actually cover you for the money that you would lose because you're unable to work. So you should look into make sure that if it is available at the company, that you do apply for your disability leave, but do understand that the law does not require them to pay you while you are out for COVID-19.
Based upon her question, at this point, would you recommend that she call an attorney, or do you think she can do things on her own at this point?
So the first step whenever you see that you have a problem in the workplace is actually always to go to the employer first, because a lot of times they need to be put on notice in order for them to have a duty to act. So if you have a disability or if you're struggling with a medical illness, you need to tell your employer, and then that triggers their duty to either accommodate you or offer you leave. So she needs to go there first.
And when we say tell, is it enough to just tell somebody, or do you need to shoot somebody in HR, you need an email? What do you do to protect yourself?
So the law says you really just have to tell them, but the reality is you need to let your pen be your friend, because you should always document what you tell the employer, because the first way they try to get out of any problems they have with employees is say, well, they didn't tell me. And if it's your word against them, you're going to be able to continue on with your lawsuit, but it's so much better if you've got your ducks in a row and you followed it up with an email. Text messages, emails, and even voice recordings can also help. If you don't feel comfortable or don't have access to email in your job, if you just have your phone on and you record the conversation, that can also suffice.
All great advice. Thank you so much, and thank you, Cheryl, for calling in this evening. We wish you the best with your situation.